Good morning, Michigan. How are we doing today? No, we can do better than that. As Matt mentioned, I've flown all the way from Sydney, Australia, 26 hours on a flight, okay? Need more energy. If you don't want me to be boring, I need more energy. How are we doing today? Music to my ears. Fantastic. So as Matt mentioned, my name is Jahin Tanvir. I am the Chief Executive Officer at the Australian School of Entrepreneurship, and I also recently just turned 22 years old. How that has happened, I am still trying to process it myself. So I grew up in Sydney, Australia, Western Sydney to be exact, and when I was flying down here on the massive flight, I was just like to myself, okay, so I'm speaking at an event all around heroism, all around leadership, and how to be a hero. What does a hero mean to me, right? And so when I asked myself that question, two things came to mind. Number one, and this is my Gen Z coming out, superheroes, right? Spider-Man, Batman, Iron Man, these are the things that came to mind, what a hero is. Second of all, the second response that I got, talking to myself, was sports stars, right? I'm a sports fanatic. So all the Steph Currys, the Tom Bradys, the Cristiano Ronaldos, in my head, they're heroes. And so when I was thinking that, I was like, okay, they're heroes, they made such great impact in the world. Why am I here? I have not made a fraction of what they've done. I have not made any impact in that regard at all. And so I was like, surely heroism, being a hero, there's something different around that. There should be something that's more accessible, something that a young person, like a 22-year-old, can become or speak on the topic of. So I was more curious around what a hero is. So I started asking people close to me about what is a hero to you? Who is a hero to you? So the first person I asked was my nephew, who is 6 years old. I was like, yo, I have a question. Who's a hero to you? Who is someone you look up to? And obviously I said it in a more accessible manner. Who's a hero? And asking a 6-year-old, the first response was Iron Man. Fair enough. Okay. So I was like, maybe I need to ask someone who's more understanding of heroes and heroism. So I asked my younger brother. My younger brother just turned 18 years old and graduated high school. So I was like, yeah, I've got a question for you. Who's a hero to you? And so after a few moments, his response to me was, Mum. Mum's my hero. And so I was like, oh, very nice, but why is Mum your hero? Obviously, I was very curious. And then I remembered she's also my mother. And Mum's the hero because she moved all the way from Dhaka, Bangladesh, where I was born, migrated to Australia, and we witnessed all her sacrifices. All her sacrifices living in Australia, English not being her first language, raising us from the ground up, right? So Mum's a hero, absolutely. So I went to Mother, and I was like, Mum, you're approaching 50. Who's your hero? Who's a hero to you? I want your perspective. And so Mum, after a few moments of, thinking about the question, Mum's response was Granddad. Granddad's her hero. And I was like, Mum, aw, cute. Why is Granddad your hero? And my mum's response was similar to my brother's response. Granddad raised her, allowed her to, prosper, to learn, to grow. In South Asia, for instance, where I'm from, there's a lot of warfare. So there was a lot of story around why Granddad was a hero. So I'm like, fantastic. Okay. Then I went to Granddad, who was approaching about 85 years old. I was like, I have a question. I won't take much of your time. Who's your hero? And the response I got from my Granddad, after a few moments of him thinking, was his older brother. Again, very similar. Raised him pretty much during the warfare times of South Asia, which was about 30, 40 years ago. All that story. And so having asked those people questions and going away from my perspectives at the beginning of Iron Man, Superman, Batman, I realized that being a hero isn't about being always extraordinary or having to do all these things. Being a hero can be very ordinary. Being a hero can be all about serving someone else. A hero is somebody who goes out of their way and actually cares about something, someone. And so I was reflecting on that and I realized, okay, what does that mean for me? Why am I on this stage? Why am I talking about heroism? And I tell this to my team and my colleagues and my friends all the time. There is nothing special about me. I am not the most talented person in the room. I am not the most smartest person in the room. What I do, and the reason I've been able to build my career at 22 in Australia, and now first time coming overseas to the US to give a speech, the only difference between me and someone else is I just decided not to give up. I just decided that, you know what, I failed here, I'll move forward. Okay, I failed here, I'll move forward. No, you know what, I've stuffed up this completely, but I'll move forward. That's the only difference between me and someone else who's 21, 22. And so for me, 3 things that I'd love to leave you with from my perspective and my journey into leadership, journey into advocacy, into heroism, 3 things that I've learned in my very short career that's changed my life completely. Number 1, and this may sound very romanticized to you, but trust me, it makes a lot of difference. Own who you are. Be yourself. I know you've heard this growing up. It's like, oh, it sounds so romanticized. I've heard this so much, but that's the truth. And the reason I say be yourself isn't for someone else or anything. It just makes life easier. You're not having to put a mask on and say, I'm this person, or I'm this influencer, or I'm following this person. You're just yourself. And life becomes so much easier. Whatever you choose to do, it makes it so much easier. Number 2 that has helped me in my journey in leadership is communication. Whatever you're trying to do in life, whatever you're pursuing, whatever you have a hobby, an interest, be intentional about it. Tell yourself, no, you know what? I actually care about this. I want to do this. Communicate it. Communication comes in the form of speaking, absolutely, but it also comes in the form of your actions, of your body language, how passionate you are, right? Non-verbal communication, verbal communication. So whatever you're pursuing, whatever you're dreaming about, whatever you want to achieve, whether it's this year, next year, in 10 years' time, communicate that. Be intentional about it. That's what heroism is all about. Realizing that there's a problem, but I'm going to go and try to find a solution. I don't have to find the solution. I'm going to give it a shot. And number 3, the third lesson that I learned that has genuinely revolutionized and changed my life more than anything is you can't do it alone. You cannot do it alone. Oftentimes, the support also needs support. Similar to superheroes, for instance, heroes that we look up to growing up. I used to be a comic book nerd growing up. I was like, oh, I love Spider-Man, I love Captain America, Iron Man. But they need the Avengers. They need a team. You cannot do it alone. So in your leadership journey, whatever you're trying to pursue, whatever you're trying to achieve in any industry, it doesn't matter if it's in public speaking, if you want to speak on stage next year, it doesn't matter if it's in a different healthcare industry, if it's starting a business, entrepreneurship, you need support. You need to find like-minded people who are just like, okay, you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm here. You need a support here, you need a crutch right now, let me be that crutch. Or be that person for someone else. You cannot do it alone. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned growing up, and it's the thing that helps me to this very day. And so to wrap up today, my leadership philosophy, and again, I had so much time to think about it on the flight here, my leadership philosophy boils down to one line. One line that every day I wake up, I turn left, and that line is written on my wall every single day. And my leadership philosophy, and that line is, you can't be what you can't see. You can't be what you can't see. Growing up, other than my parents, I had no role models. My role models were literally soccer players or cricket players. I had no role models who were young, who looked like me, who had dark skin color. No one. And so for me, my leadership journey, and the reason I love public speaking, the reason I love doing this is because I want to show another kid in any capacity, whether they're watching it through the video, whether someone here, I want to show another child that it is possible. Everyone needs a reference point. I don't have to be a role model for anyone, but I want to be a reference point for someone. For them to say, hey, if that guy can do it, I can do it better. Not I can do it too, I want people to be better. If they can do it, I can do it too. We need more reference points. We need more torchbearers. We need people to say, okay, I've always felt like I can't do this. I have to stay in my own lane. No, challenge that. Say, no, I can do that. I have the capacity to do that. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, but eventually I can. Why? Because that person's doing it. That person showed the way. Could be a different industry, don't get me wrong. We might be very different people, personality-wise, lived experience-wise, but we're here together because we're like-minded. We actually care about leadership. We actually care about heroism, other people. We care about getting inspired. And so you can't beat what you can't see. And so if I can leave the last piece of wisdom or experience from my life, it's that if you can be that person for someone else, you don't even have to know that person, right? But if you can just be that person for just one person, that makes a lot of difference. Being a public speaker, for instance, I come into stages filled with people in rooms. When I leave that stage, the guarantee is most people might be not listening, some people might be on TikTok, some people might be texting, whatever it is. But my goal, every time I'm on a stage or anything in the public setting, is one person. If I can just impact one person to say, you know what, I feel just a little inspired to do X, Y, Z. Or I feel like, you know what, if they can do it, I can do it too. Because for me, again, my leadership philosophy will always be, you cannot be what you can't see. Be a torchbearer. If it means being a sacrifice for the adversities, be that sacrifice, because it's worth it. Be a visionary. Be someone who other people can look at and say, I can do it too. And so, again, you can't be where you can't see. Completely agree with that. But the reality is, watch me. Thank you, everyone.